we're back for episode 177, I believe. So it's been a minute. We've been busy. We haven't been putting in the shows like we have been. It's that start of the season hustle, I guess.
Yeah.
You've been sick. You were sick. You had pneumonia, right?
Yeah. I've had pneumonia. They had put me on like a bunch of steroids and other shit. So whatever. No big deal.
You feel good now, though?
No.
No?
No. Because I want our next podcast to be like the Awkward Drywall Guys or something, where we tell people best practices on starting a drywall hanging business or like exterior painting business.
You know, that business would probably be less stressful than what we're doing now.
It annoys me to no end.
Because they tell you where to go, when to be there, how much you're going to get paid for the job. You just do the job right and go to the next one.
No, none of it's easy. You know what I mean? Like, so I think about this stuff when I'm going through some shit that I think is just unique to this industry. And I'm like, oh, I fucking hate this business. You know what I mean? But it is like, and I don't know. I don't go to like the plumbers conventions or whatever. And, you know, see like, you know, guys that are just like, so frustrating. Like can you imagine if I've been really, Steve and I have been talking about like TikTok shops. Mm-hmm. They seem like really interesting. They kind of seem like the next kind of like iteration of the excitement that was around like Amazon and e-com during the .com. There's just like a lot of, it seems very interesting. You know, it's like a new funnel hack. And so, you know, can you imagine having a product on there that's like, some of these products have sold like $500,000. It's their main distribution channel. And then, you know, the US government's like, oh, we're going to ban TikTok. Could you imagine? So I know this is not specific to water sports. It's specific to us. Or it's not specific.
Well, really, I think the idea that you're saying is relevant to everybody. It's about channel diversity, making sure you're not putting too much into one specific channel, whether it be your direct marketing, OTAs, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, because it could be gone. You know, I remember in the early days of Trip Shock, I had a sailboat operator and he got 90% of his business on Trip Shock, and he did really well for 2-3 years. And then all of a sudden, other sailboats coming onto the platform, he goes from 90% to 20% and never invested into anything else. He didn't try to, you know, build a website, do direct marketing, he just did the same thing. And same with you're saying with TikTok shop. If you have government come in and shuts it down, then, you know, where do you go from there? And I mean, I have this problem. I've been having this issue for years with Google, because between Google Organic and Google Paid, that's like 60-70% of Trip Shock's traffic. So I've been, you know, pivoting to other channels, but it's a slow process because you're trying to change, you know, something ingrained in people's minds. Like when they want something, they go to Google, and Google's done a really good job of creating that demand. So now
it's all about to change.
Yeah.
And I honestly think that was the push against TikTok. No, I can't. My assistant like wants me to take this call, and I'm like, you have my calendar. Yeah. So, yeah, I think, and like, I think like, especially with like TikTok, that's probably, can you imagine like the lobbying that like Google and Meta and all these other, like how much they probably don't want TikTok around, because TikTok is such a disruptor and they can't manage to emulate it. Like if you go on to Reels, the experience is just not the same. And the way they've integrated the e-com into the platform, TikTok is a huge disruptor for a lot of platforms, because how people are ingesting media, the frequency at which the ads are delivered, like you can't get away from it. It's highly addictive. You keep coming back to it. And it sort of poses like a threat to retail giants, to search. It definitely grabbing some market share. And that's why I think it's such an important conversation to constantly be having about them, because I think that platform and platforms like it are going to be dominating search in the next 5 to 10 years.
So I know they're saying that, but I just find it kind of wonky to go on Facebook and search for activities or boat rentals. I mean,
the next generation doesn't, though. They don't at all. They're using they're using that search functionality, and then even better than that, right? What's even better than, because when you're going onto Google and searching with intent, you're at a different spot in the funnel. You know, like the TikTok is quite literally solving a problem for every stage of the funnel, and they're creating, when you're stumbling upon these happenstance. You know, let's say you do put a search into TikTok, and then it starts to feed you things that were unrelated to search. So let's just say, like, you know, emotionally you're at the top of the funnel, all right, and or in the middle, somewhere in this, right, where you do land on jet skis, you know, Galveston, Texas, whatever it may be, because you're still kind of seeing like, jet skis might be cool. You look, you see there's a couple companies, you're not really made up your mind. You go back to scrolling. See, the entire experience is a different way of not search, but literally discovery. It's like search and discovery intertwined. So let's say you search for jet skis, you come across something, it's a really bad jet ski video, as we like to do in this industry. And then somebody, you know, you scroll, right? 3, you know, funny video, cat video. And then the 5th one is, I'll use New York, for example. It was slime museum. I didn't even know that I was looking for things to do on Google, but then I just started searching TikTok, things to do New York, 5 best things. And it gave me the listicles, and it gave me the typical Google search, but then these sort of like curated other things that were just, the videos were cool, the experiences were cool. And I ended up doing the things that became discoverable in my feed that I didn't even know that I was looking for, because the algorithm started to adjust my feed. And then I got organic things that, as I said, it wasn't even like these social influencers or people going like these dumb, like, oh, when I'm in New York, I like to go to Central Park. It wasn't fed to me like that. It was just like, I get to this thing and there's kids throwing slime at each other and then kids making slime, and it looks super fun. And man, we drove 5 miles through the city in an Uber to go do it. And it was a great experience, and we had a ton of fun. And I don't know, like for me, it disrupted how I would typically, as a Gen X / boomer, find something. And in that process, it was a much more enjoyable experience coming across the activity that I didn't know existed. And it definitely didn't felt forced, and it was natural, and it wasn't an ad being served to me. And, you know, overall, as something I preach on this podcast, in the group, in my book, you know, that you make every step of the customer experience great. And I think TikTok has been able to do that.
Yeah,
a lot better than Google, a lot better, because I don't want to read some listicle blog bullshit. You know what I mean?
And they're all, listicles are crap anyways. They're made with AI and just plugged with, you know, content that favors that blogger. But I agree. So the way that I think about search, so the way you explained it to me is definitely you're spot on, because when I first just brought that up to you a moment ago, I'm thinking like, you go to TikTok, you go in the search bar, you search jet skis, and then you get hit with content. But what you're saying is it's a little bit different than that. So you're looking for things to do. You see the slime museum video, right? So you engage with that slime museum. Now the algorithm knows that you're interested in activities or similar things. So now when you're scrolling, it's going to serve you more things for discovery purposes. So, you know, it's not like the typical like search jet skis. I'm going to see a bunch of jet ski videos and go there, but it's like search jet skis. It knows that I'm interested in that. And then while I'm scrolling in the next 24-hour period, it's going to start giving me similar things based on other, users based on their algorithm. But yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and just the entire experience is enjoyable. It really is, because you are like, maybe I'm looking at some funny Trump video or something, and next day, what I mean, and it just gets kind of like, and that's why it's so addicting, and that's why the products do so well, and that's why the app is so incredibly sticky, is because it seamlessly weaves an advertising and marketing experience into this mindless scrolling fun, and it does it in such a way that it's not like obtrusive, you know what I mean, where you're just like, I don't know, it's super interesting. I think yeah,
I mean, that's just why it's so important to have content get involved. I mean, I changed our TikTok strategy on Trip Shock. I only do short form video, actually all social. It's just all short form video. And I mean, we just started it last month, but it's so far it's done pretty well as far as just getting views and engagement. But I got to tell a funny story. So the other day I'm scrolling and there was a midget wrestling video and I watched it. It was funny. I watched it. Now for the last week, all I see is like little people videos.
There you go. Micro wrestling, right?
It thinks that I just wanted to watch that one video clip, but now like my whole feed on Facebook, I think that's why TikTok has the best algorithm, because it wouldn't do that for that long, where Facebook, I think, is trying to emulate the TikTok algorithm. But from everyone I spoke to that's in the tech space, TikTok's algorithm is by far better than Facebook and Twitter. It's like they don't even compare.
Like sometimes when I'm watching short form, like they've tried to emulate TikTok, but I know, dude, and I know, like, you know what I mean? Somebody sends something and then I end up like mindless scrolling, and I'm like 2 minutes in, I'm like, this sucks. You know what I mean? I did find one on Facebook. It was really good. It was about a wrestler in Chicago, and he is a 90s grunge theme wrestler, and his name is Stephen Flo. And the whole song is like, Stephen Flo, Stephen Flo, Stephen Flo. And like every lyric is just his name, Stephen Flo. And he's got one flannel on, and he's got one flannel around his waist. Like, and he comes on with like an acoustic guitar. It is the best thing. And that's the only, but anyway, I'm scrolling through that, and I immediately, it like does not get its hooks into me. But TikTok, like just the way that it shows the content that you like, it's like, man, it knows how to keep you going, and it's so varied and so mixed up that it's not like you said. So it's like if you interacted with a jet ski ad, Facebook would feed you more jet ski ads. But I mean, just because you're interested in this one thing doesn't mean that there's not activity adjacent verticals, or however you want to frame that or you might be interested in. Like, yeah, I want to get out on the water. I don't necessarily want to go on a jet ski. I might want to see a dolphin. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily want to be on the water. You know what I mean? Like, feed me a golfarium thing. It's like, oh, cool. I didn't want to go on a boat. Like, I just wanted to see a dolphin. I didn't realize I could go and see this dolphin at the golfarium, or, whatever. But I mean, these are the kind of things that do make me sit up. And, water sports is fine. Water sports is great. I like it. As I said, I'm not trying to like hard pitch my book, but sometimes I feel like there's just not much more to be said. Right. And I see a lot of business influencers, like kind of like do what we're doing. We've been doing it a really long time. And, once you get out of, this idea of scale, and it's always something that's really interesting to me. So let me ask you, like,
wait, before they go, you never answered my question. Who's your favorite wrestler?
Oh, I didn't hear you say that.
Oh, yeah, you're just rambling. But
I'm
who's your
not even
favorite?
rambling. I was making a well thought out point. It just takes me a while to get there. Oh, Hulkster, dude. Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan, your favorite?
Yeah, I met him. I met him in Key West. It was great.
Yeah, he's a Florida guy.
Yeah, Terry Bull. What's his name? Terry. I don't know. What? Who's yours?
Or something. I have quite a few. So I grew up, in like late 90s wrestling. So like Wolfpack, NWO, New World Order, WCW. I didn't get into WWF as much, but I got into WCW. So the Big Show. So Hollywood. So you know how Hulk Hogan, he rebranded to Hollywood Hulk when he went to WCW, and he had the black bandana.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kevin Nash, and some of the luchador wrestlers too were fun to watch because they, flip around that. But yeah, I like the Big Show, and he'd come in. It's always fun because always the end of like the show, they all just fight, right? So like there's this argument, and then all of a sudden the Big Show just runs in. He just dives into the ring and just starts mopping up guys. Like, man, I guess my parents hated it because it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. And I'm just getting hyped up because watching these guys go at it. She actually had to I couldn't watch wrestling.
All right, I want to get us onto a topic here, but it's something I think about a lot, right? And I hear it, and I have a lot of people that I follow on my Facebook feed, and there's always this buzzword called it's scale, right?
Yeah.
You want to scale your business, right? In your opinion, what is the difference between a business of scale and a business that you're growing? And is there a difference?
Well, a business at scale, doesn't necessarily have a ceiling.
Right.
A business that you're growing could have a ceiling. Yeah. So this is exactly why I love the WaveRes model opposed to the TripShock OTA model, because even though OTAs technically don't have a ceiling, the cost to break through the ceiling are so great. Like this is why Get Your Guide raised $500 million+ Kloop raised $500 million. Viators, they can break through the ceilings because they have the money. Now in WaveRes, it's different because there is, tens of thousands of potential users. There really is no ceiling. It's just a matter of scale, hiring more marketing, developing your product, just doing everything you need to do. But I can literally, if the product's in parity with what the operators need, I can literally hire up several salespeople and I can scale it because there is no ceiling. It's like with OTAs, there's a ceiling because of the money. You have to scale and build the products out and acquire all the product, the marketing, the customer acquisition cost. It's that's the difference between an OTA and kind of res tech. And also I see it in like businesses like Kai from TourScale. He can actually scale because he doesn't have that ceiling. I mean, people all over the world could essentially franchise. He sells a program, they pay a royalty, and but then if he has this one particular location, there is a ceiling because there's only so many boats you can put in the water. There's only so many locations. It might not be a good product fit for all markets. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways to play it.
So like that. So yeah. So the reason I ask this is because I hear this oh man, I don't want to put the guy on blast, but I'm not even going to say his name, but there's a guy that I follow and he's been on the podcast before and nice guy or whatever, but he's like, yeah, and he's paid some publicist to do a thing. But he just kind of has this hokey small business. If I had to put my finger on, he probably does $500,000 top line revenue. And he keeps on saying this, scale. But I think that this is something that a lot of business influencers, and they're everywhere, they're on TikTok. Everyone always talks about scale. We're going to scale your business. I think there's a common misnomer, and you did just hit the nail on the head, where people don't really understand the difference between scale and growth. A lot of times, the small business owners, there's two things that we're trying to grow. top line. And then when that ceases to be feasible, then you try to grow your bottom line. And it's this balancing act of wanting to keep everything going what's going, but you're also trying to grow your margins, but you don't want to do it in a way that affects your top line, because you don't want to hurt your growth. You don't want to hurt your ability to serve and your employees and all this stuff for the sake of, putting another $40,000, because then you're just going back and forth, right? It's a labor of diminishing returns. And I think a lot of small business owners really get trapped in this idea precisely because of like TikTok shop, because of e-com, because of FBA, because of all of these, tools that you're able to sell things online. And it seems on the surface that they are the same. But if you're selling, the desk chairs, right? Yeah. You're selling a desk chair online and you're creating, some great ergonomic, maybe it's not a brand. Maybe you're just getting stuff from Alibaba and that's a scalable business. Believe it or not, Greg and it is a business. It's a very poorly run business by both of us. We just did it for fun. But technically a podcast and selling books are businesses of scale. Water sports is incredibly difficult to scale. And to this point, like guys like, Justin and Kai, I know there's a couple more. Yeah, you have the spa cruises and, some of these like niche water sport products where they're trying to, figure out the scalability. But it's monolithic. I mean, like I think Tour Scale is the best example because they've gone through multiple iterations, right? And not that they're not serving those things, and we talked about it on those last programs, but that's like the problem that they continue to solve. Like, what is the one product that is applicable to every market or multiple markets that there's growth potential for their franchisees. So they're solving for small business growth for their franchisees, and they're solving for scalability of their product. And that makes water sports, very, very difficult to actually scale. And most service businesses historically would not typically be an economy of scale because you do reach a tap.
Yeah. So Polaris, we met those guys. They came to the port, but they have a model where it's kind of like a quasi franchise where you lease the boats. They give you the insurance, the playbook. They help you source locations. The only thing they don't do is they don't like make you use a specific name for the business. You can still have some autonomy, but in a way, like that to me is somewhat of a scalable model in water sports where you help an operator source your location, you give the playbook, you make, they're going to make money on the lease of the boats, maybe a royalty, I don't know, but there's a lot of opportunity in that market because there's water all over the country, all over the world. There really isn't necessarily a ceiling per se on it. There's a market because there's already boat rental people. But to me, like that is something that can be scaled. There's systems in place. It's just a matter of marketing and finding the right customers for it. So
yeah, see, and where I sort of see the issue with water sports is what puts a cap on that scalability is going to be your TAM, your total addressable market, because you have to have water there. You can't put a jet ski in Topeka. Jet skis can't go anywhere. So and I'm taking it back to TikTok because when I look at that stuff and I go, man, it's so cool, or e-com or any kind of brand, and you start getting into brand marketing, and I think you start to look at some of these higher business you look at these higher level business concepts, like I don't want to have another heart attack for less than 10 million. You know what I mean? I would probably suffer another heart attack if it meant that, like we're going to do 10 million in sales this year. And we have the potential to do 15 million in sales next year. But I see this, and I hate to take it like emotional place, but I do, because I do see the pain and the suffering that comes along with this business. It is this an incredibly difficult business, and people, especially blue collar, self-employed, captains, entrepreneurs. And I use that term very loosely because to me, most water sport guys, I don't want to sound mean, but they're passion based, right? They're not like, I mean, they're not the James Vaughn.
I wouldn't even say passion based. I would say that this is all they know because they started out early as a mate or a dockhand. They learned the business, they bought some boats, and this is just what they know. And I was talking to an operator the other day, and he was basically, this is all he done his entire life. He started off as a captain. He was 18. He finally got some money. He bought his own business. He has a couple rental boats. He does a couple charters, and he does charters himself. And he was just talking so negatively about his customers, how they're stupid and they're this and that. And he seemed miserable. And I stopped him. I said, "You don't seem like you love what you do." And he's like, "I've done it all my life. This is all I know." There's so many that I feel are trapped kind of in this industry because it's all they know. They know how to make money with it, but they really don't enjoy it. It's just a job. And I can tell when I talk to people, whether it be, through TripShock or Waveres or whatever, I can hear it in their voice that they want to pay commission because they just don't like the job anyways. And then they got to see that they're given the ones that are like really excited and passionate about the industry, like they're willing to spend the money because they just love it. They want to grow the business. They want to grow the brand. But I always can tell the people that treat this as a forced career opposed to people who actually love and want to grow it and want to be part of the industry.
Yeah, and look, nail on the head. And when I get asked about like why I do this other stuff, because a lot of it, some of it is like was welded to like, okay, this is close to what we do. Like I can figure this out. But then there's a huge part of me that's always like wants to go outside of what I know and be like, you know what, man, let's take a swing at this completely wildly different thing because Steve and I were talking about like even insofar as marketing. So like right back to the whole TikTok search, like we were talking about how like insofar as like marketing, right? Like Steve is really great at marketing for tours and activities and water sports and America as well, Dustin, all of our marketers. Brennan Bliss, all these, this, and it's, I don't want to say it's formulaic, but there's a great method that works to capture, right? And in water sports, you see this sort of, this struggle, right? Like they want to be like, oh, like, well, what's the new next thing? What's the new next thing? What's the new next thing? And so you sort of like kind of, you want to keep, you don't want to lose. But again, because of the lack of the ability to actually have a business model that scales, what happens is it becomes a drag on people because it's like, all right, well, 20 years ago, I had a piece of paper and a pencil and we were doing $1 million a year or whatever. And now this year I'm going to build a website and we're going to do Google ads and we're going to do $1 million a year. And then now I'm going to learn TikTok and we're going to do email and we're going to do automations and all of this. We're going to hire VAs and we're going to write SOPs and we're going to make $1 million a year. So typically when you're dealing with an economy of scale, you're solving for problems and you're taking on headaches, not to keep what you have, but to continue the upward trajectory of the returns and the growth of your company based on the unlimited demand or larger demand for that product and ability to deliver it. And I think this is the trap of small business and something that everybody gets sold from influencers, marketing agencies, podcasts like ours, franchisees, like every single one of us, right? And it's this promise of scale. And the reality of it is that there is a cap for all of our businesses. Unless you diversify, you get into other products, and that is not scaling, that's growing. That's starting another business, adding more businesses that also have a cap. Adding parasailing is not scaling your business. Adding a tour boat is not scaling your business. It's adding another product that just has another profit margin, that has a whole other set of problems, and also has a cap on it. It's not like you buy a tour boat and all of a sudden the tour boat's going to do 750 this year, and then it's going to do 2 million next year, then it's going to do 10 million next year, and it's going to do 50 million next year. No, you quite literally have to keep on buying more boats and say, you know what I mean? The rate of return on the initial investment doesn't scale commensurately. You have to keep on adding more and adding more, and it's the same 30% return. You're not getting outsized returns by adding more staff or, you know, creating different distribution channels. And it's just something I want everybody to sort of to look out for. And again, like I feel like I did it with my book. You know what I mean? Like when I hear all these conversations and all of these fucking how-tos and all these influencers, like, here you go, dude. Here are the 5 steps to running a successful small business. Really, if you just want to go to chapter 5, and it's just like people, hire great people, get out of your own way, free up your time, because that's the one thing that's, to me, is like sort of scalable, right? You know what I mean? Like if you can free up your time and continue money, like that rate of return, even if it's, you know, okay, yeah, I got a business doing $2 million and I'm, you know, pulling 100 grand in, but I'm not looking at it anymore. And so, but you have to truly not be able to look at it and open your eyes to something else and move in that the other direction. And yeah, this all came because the guy did the Good Morning America thing, and he was like talking about, he's doing the whole business influencer thing, and I'm just like, buddy, just stop. You know what I mean? Like, stop, man. Your bounce house business that's not like, you know, and I know you're gonna have a franchise bounce house business all over the country. I commend you, but it just, I think the allure just comes from everything that we see. Like when you look at like Chat GPT, you know what I mean? That's probably a fucking scalable business, right? It's gonna, it's gonna scale everything.
And there's nothing wrong with having a business that doesn't scale. In fact, I sometimes wish I had a business that doesn't scale. That's just
I got one for sale for you right now.
That's just a good, profitable business that's low. That's, you know, there's a low maintenance. They barely exist. Laundromats though exist.
Yeah, I like those.
So, but I mean, I said there's got to be a mix though. There's got to be some passion, and there's also has to be some business minded.
Tom Bilyeu. Look up Tom Bilyeu on Passion, dude. Tom Bilyeu runs a podcast called do you know Tom Bilyeu's podcast?
I do. I know Tom Bilyeu. I actually met him. Did I tell you I met him?
Yeah, he has a big thing on Passion, and so does Scott Galloway too. They're both like fuck Passion.
Really? You know? No, but for small businesses, I really think that there's a portion of that. Like, do you really want to be on the water every single day just for the hell of it, just to make, grind dollars? I don't think that. So I mean, you can have a passion for the business. Like, there's some people that that work with us that are just, they love just the whole thing, not just the actual tour itself, but they love the marketing, they love the employees, they love being outside, they just love the whole thing. And there's passion there, and they're always the most successful ones. So there is an element of it.
Yeah, man. So
they want to make money too, which is, at the end of the day, like if your goal is not to make money, then that's, I don't know how you're gonna succeed. Like there's no, you can't run a business without making money. So
yeah. So I don't know. It's just one of these things that it always pops up in my feed, and people, I think, like, see these ads, and You're selling stuff online and you're like, yeah, man, me too. But at the end of the day, it's like, you can ship out, you can ship out 50 boxes of, supplement A in a day and sell them all online. And as long as you have them, you can deliver them. You only got 10 boats to rent out for the day if you have a boat rental company, or, 150 rides to pump out if you got a parasail boat. So yeah, it's just something I just like want to talk about. I was like this idea. We talk about scale all the time. Everybody's always says, scale your business. And it's like, well, I think you got to think about it a little bit deeper than that, because there's just so many marketers. It's always just kind of like the same playbook. And we've talked about on the show.
Yeah.
SOPs, hiring. And realistically, there's like 5 or 6 things you do. And, that's it. And if you don't branch out, and if you can't figure out to grow or add new things or get into different industries, you have to figure out, what the cap is, what the stopping point is. Like, do you want to go out and roll up a bunch of other businesses? Like, do you want to be the king of boat rentals? Do you want to franchise jet skis, whatever it is? And, it's like kind of like that's that. But some people are happy with that, I guess. I have not met any in water sports. I have yet to met the operator that is capped out at under $1 million a year, $700,000 a year, that's wrenching on their stuff, that's answering their phones, and that's happy in 10 years, because it's too much feast and famine. There's too much downtime for you to sit around when shit's slow. And then when it's on, it's just too overwhelming for any one person to handle all of the things. So,
So what you're saying is, once you get to that ceiling, that, you can back out, hire someone to replace you to free you up. Yeah. I think that's
you have to. You have to, or your business is going to run into the ground. I see it, dude. I see it even in my staff sometimes. The people that I pay that are getting burned out, man, that are just like making mistakes, that are doing things that I don't like. And I'm surely not going to step in. I have a very firm, if I pay you to do a job, then you better be better at it than me. I'm telling you this right now. If you are the best person at all of the things in your business, you're fucking up. You are not. You're wrong. If you're the accountant, the marketer, the mechanic, and the captain, something is not being done to the best of its ability, and probably all of those cases. So
yeah, no, I totally agree. All right, well, we're at the end here. Just want to make a quick note that we'll be going live here really soon with ticketing for the port early bird pricing. So it's going to be $225. It's going to be $50 off of the price. So that will be probably for like a month or so. We'll offer the early bird pricing. So just check watersportpodcast.com or go to our group. We'll have a ticket link. And yeah, the port's going to be in Destin, Florida this year, October 20th and the 21st. So going to bring it back home to home base.
Cool. All right, brother. Well, I will talk to you, man.
All right. As always,
bye-bye.
keep it out, guys.